You know that feeling when you're camping and you hear something moving outside your tent at night? That primal spike of fear before you convince yourself it's just the wind? There was a time when that sound would have been a cat with teeth longer than your forearm, a bear that could look through a second-story window, or a pack of wolves, each one bigger than a modern lion, hunting in groups of 30. What made the Ice Age truly terrifying was that there was no inside to hide in. No walls thick enough, no fire big enough, and nowhere cold enough to make them stop hunting. This lasted for 2.5 million years. That's longer than modern humans have existed as a species. The number one predator on this list hunted in packs large enough to take down mammoths. You, with any weapon you could carry, would have been nothing but an appetizer. The Ice Age wasn't just cold. Average temperatures would drop to 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit below today. In the winter, massive portions of North America and Europe stayed below zero for months. There were no buildings, no insulated clothing. If you wanted shelter, you had to find a cave. It's too bad everything else on this list had the same idea. The landscape, though, was open. Endless stretches of frozen grassland with scattered trees. You could see for miles in every direction, which meant predators could see you for miles too. The silence was oppressive. When you heard something, you knew exactly what it was. Something big. Something that had spent millions of years evolving to hunt in conditions that would kill you in hours. Most prey animals had thick fur and massive fat reserves. You have neither. While you would be trying not to freeze to death, you'd be the most visible, vulnerable, slowest target in the entire ecosystem. But the cold was only half the problem. The other half was everything that thrived in it. While you were struggling just to stay warm enough to survive another day, these predators were operating at peak efficiency. They'd spent millions of years adapting to these exact conditions. The cold didn't slow them down, it sharpened them. And in a world where exposure could kill you in hours, they had all the time they needed. The cave hyena was 25% larger than modern spotted hyenas. 220 pounds with jaws evolved to crack open the femurs of Ice Age megafauna. That's heavier than most NFL linebackers, and it could bite through bones you couldn't break with a sledgehammer. Cave hyena dens are packed with evidence of active hunting. They traveled in clans of up to 30 individuals. They could coordinate ambush tactics, cut off escape routes, and rotate fresh hunters into a chase until their prey collapsed from exhaustion. Cave hyenas could maintain pursuit for miles across frozen ground, while you slipped on ice and lost body heat with every breath. Endurance and numbers were one strategy, but some predators didn't need a pack to end it quickly. Cave lions were 10% larger than modern African lions. At 700 pounds, this thing ran down woolly rhinoceroses. We found cave paintings showing multiple cave lions hunting together. You might face one 700-pound apex predator, or you might face several. Cave lions had bite forces powerful enough to crush through spinal columns. They were ambush predators in an environment with very few hiding spots, positioning themselves near water sources and migration routes. If you were to walk past, you had maybe 2 seconds before 700 pounds of muscle closed the distance. Lions relied on speed and impact. Smilodon, though, relied on precision. Those 7-inch canines were no joke. They were precision instruments. Smilodon could puncture through hide and muscle into major arteries in a single bite, creating massive trauma wounds that would drop prey in seconds. At 600 pounds, Smilodon was built for raw power. It hunted by stealth and ambush, exploding from cover with enough force to tackle prey significantly larger than itself. Evidence suggests they could even take down juvenile mammoths. The front limbs were massively muscular, strong enough to grapple and hold struggling prey while those sabers found their target. Once Smilodon got its paws on you, you were pinned while it calmly lined up the killing bite. Fossil evidence suggests they hunted in forests, grasslands, and near water sources. There was no environment where you could relax. And if stealth didn't get you, coordination would. Dire wolves were 25% bigger than the largest modern gray wolves. At 150 to 175 pounds each, they formed packs of 30 to 40 individuals. Modern wolves hunt in groups of 6 to 10. Direwolves moved in larger formations, capable of surrounding prey from multiple angles at once. Some cut off escape routes, others drove targets toward waiting ambushers. A few rotated in to keep pressure on while the rest conserved energy. Their bite forces were stronger than modern wolves, strong enough to crack bones and tear through hide that today's canines struggle to penetrate. They were endurance hunters. They didn't sprint and give up. They jogged for miles, for hours, maintaining pursuit until you collapsed from exhaustion or hypothermia. Running generates heat, your clothes get damp, your core temperature drops. Direwolves were insulated with thick winter coats, conserving energy while you burned through yours. And that was just a typical pack. Sometimes they merged, forming super packs numbering in the hundreds. Hundreds of 175-pound wolves operating within the same hunting grounds, drawn together during harsh winters, when prey was scarce and hesitation disappeared. Fossil sites like the La Brea tar pits suggest mass gathering events with thousands of direwolf remains found in close proximity. Evidence of dense predator concentrations competing and feeding in the same space. Hundreds of noses could track you from miles away. Even if you climbed, sparse Ice Age tree cover meant they could wait you out. You wouldn't be apex prey, you'd be an opportunity for them. Something small and expendable before focusing on larger kills. But not every threat chased you across open ground. At 1,500 pounds, cave bears were the third largest bear species ever. They lived in caves, the same caves you'd be desperately trying to shelter in during the winter. Imagine this, you'd be freezing. You'd find a cave that might keep you alive through the night. You crawl inside, and then you hear breathing from the darkness ahead. Cave bear jaws could generate bite forces comparable to modern polar bears, strong enough to crush skulls and snap bones. Unlike predators that kill quickly, bears don't wait for you to die. Hibernating bears wake up if disturbed. When a 1,500-pound predator wakes up after weeks of not eating, you're just a convenient snack that delivered itself. Caves weren't optional in the Ice Age. Without shelter, you'd freeze in hours during winter nights. But with shelter, you risked stumbling into a cave bear's territory. You either freeze to death outside or risk getting mauled inside. Crazy part is, that wasn't even the largest thing walking around. Arctodus simus, the short-faced bear, stood 12 feet tall on its hind legs. This thing could look through a second-story window without stretching. Coming in at 2,000 pounds, this thing was a walking tank. Short-faced bears had proportionally longer limbs than any other bear species. Despite weighing as much as a small car, they could run. Estimates suggest they could hit 40 miles per hour in short bursts. For reference, Usain Bolt's top speed was 27 miles per hour. You, panicked and exhausted across ice, would be lucky to hit 15 miles per hour. Short-faced bears had massive territories, hundreds of square miles per individual. Running to the next valley wouldn't save you. You'd still be in its hunting grounds. Arctodus was built for that world. Thick fur and dense fat reserves allowed it to remain active in temperatures that would end most animals within hours. What drained you was normal to it. Modern humans lived through most of this. We survived the Ice Age. Our ancestors walked the same frozen landscapes as short-faced bears and direwolf superpacks. Genetic evidence suggests humans went through multiple population bottlenecks during the Ice Age, times when our total population dropped to maybe 10,000 individuals worldwide. We came within a few bad winters of not existing. The humans who made it through weren't tougher, they weren't smarter. They were in the right place when the megafauna was somewhere else. They found shelter that wasn't occupied. They didn't stumble into direwolf territory during harsh winter. Luck, those predators aren't extinct because humans beat them. They're extinct because the environment changed. The Ice Age ended. Prey populations collapsed. These apex predators starved because the world they'd adapted to for millions of years disappeared in a few thousand. The climate won that war. We were just alive when it ended, For 2.5 million years, the Ice Age was the default state of Earth. Every predator that was listed was perfectly adapted to that world. Human civilization exists because we got a 12,000-year window of unusual warmth, a brief pause in Earth's normal pattern of glaciation. If Ice Age conditions returned tomorrow, evolution would fill those ecological niches again. Maybe not with direwolves and short-faced bears, but with something just as adapted, just as efficient. The Ice Age proved humans aren't apex predators. We're just good at hiding until the actual apex predators die off. And someday, maybe, we'll run out of places to hide too. That's all for now, folks. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, this has been Proto Earth.